All right guys, so it's the next day. Let's check on our cold brew. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you what it looks like. Okay, so here's our cold brew. It's all done being made, and we're going to drain it into this carafe, and hopefully it'll be full. So I'm gonna do this off camera, but you can see that the plastic plug is in here. You kind of have to lift this up and then reach in and pull that plug out, which is why you didn't want to shove it in too far to begin with, because it makes it really, really hard to get out. But this is the most finicky part of this entire process, because you have to kind of hold this up while you pull that out. If you were having a really hard time, don't mind the wind in the background. There's a severe thunderstorm rolling in right now. If you have a really hard time, I would suggest just lifting this up, and then with one hand and then the other hand, use like a pair of kitchen tongs and use that to like work that out, and then that'll be a lot easier. But I've been doing this enough that I can just use my fingers. But I'm gonna pull that out off camera, because otherwise it's gonna be a giant mess, and then I'll show you guys. And just to note, I do take the lid off for this. You might want to leave the lid on while you fuss with it, but I take the lid off because otherwise it doesn't drain as easily, because there's no like oxygen coming in. Okay, so now you can see that it's draining, and just to give you an idea of what I did, I used my left hand for this, but I just put my hand under here and lift this whole thing up, and then stick my other hand in between this gap to pull that out with two of my fingers. But I just do my left hand and not my right hand. But now we're just going to let this sit and drain. And once it's drained, I'll show you guys how I empty everything. While you're waiting, I just washed the little plug and I put this somewhere safe.
We can sit here together and watch the crazy rainstorm that's happening outside my house right now. And there's my garden in my driveway, and my little robot from Dollar Tree.
So this is one of the caveats of using a drip grind coffee instead of a cold brew grind coffee. See, it's very slow to filter out. That is because the grinds are smaller. It is a lot more difficult for the filter to filter through the coffee, but I honestly don't care, because drip grind coffee is so much more common. It's so much easier to find. It's a lot cheaper half the time. If you don't have a grinder, or your store doesn't have a grinder to grind whole bean coffee, this is just a lot more accessible. So honestly, I mean, it doesn't affect you in any way, other than you just have to let it sit a lot longer to drain. If this was a cold brew grind, it would have a steady stream coming out of the hole, and it would just be consistent, and it would drain the whole thing in about 5 minutes. This is probably going to take 20. But again, it's been sitting on my counter for literally a full 24 hours. What's an extra 20 minutes? I'm just going to let it drain. So I'll come back in about 20 minutes and I'll show you guys where we're at. Okay, so this has finished draining. As you can see, it is much emptier, much more empty, whatever. And if you tilt this from side to side, it will drip out a little bit more, but it's usually not worth it. So now this is the amount that we have. This is almost full. This is what I mean by when I say I have contempt for the recipe as written, that you're going to get a lot more out of one bag of coffee. So this lid barely fits on here. Barely. But that's what I want. So I'm totally cool with that. So now I'm going to show you how I make my drinks using a Starbucks cup, just like I used to when I worked at Starbucks. Oh, also for the grinds, you can just dump out the grinds. I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll show you how I store the filter. But you can save these grinds and use them for things like scrubbing onto your cellulite, or different health things. Coffee grounds have caffeine in them, which is great for certain parts of your skin. It's great for depuffing. It's great for helping with cellulite. It's great for a lot of different things. So you can actually just save these and put them in like a jar and put them in your shower for a couple of days. I wouldn't recommend any longer than that, but I'm just going to throw these away because I have so many. Oh, and these are also good for your garden in certain circumstances. Okay, so now my filter is rinsed. You can see it's a lot lighter in color. It's starting to degrade a little bit, but I've been using the same filter for 3 years, so that's to be expected. I will probably replace this very soon. I did put the link to replacement filters and extra of the plugs in my Amazon page, so you guys could grab them if you needed them, but it does come with a filter and they will last quite a while if you take care of them. So I'm going to put this back in my little bag and just throw this in the freezer. Oh, there's a little bug there. I have chamomile in the house from the garden, so sometimes there's tiny little critters that make it in. I dehydrate it for tea with my dehydrator, so sometimes the little bugs just stay in the house. But Buggy is gone, so now I'm going to show you how to make coffee. Okay, so even if you're not a fan of Starbucks, I would highly suggest that you pick up one of these cups. As you can tell, this one is very well loved. I believe these are only $2 at the store, and they are definitely worth it. You can reuse it time and time and time again, but what you're going to do is you're going to fill up your cold brew concentrate to this line here. Then you're going to fill this line up with water and this line up with milk, or creamer. If you're like me and you don't necessarily need that much milk or creamer, you can really just sort of go anywhere in between with water or creamer. If you don't use any creamer, you can just fill right up here to water. I fill mine to about here with water and then here with creamer, and then the rest gets filled with ice. And let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to make one right now. So just to be transparent, this is where we started here, above this little ridge. It is just maybe 1/8 of an inch shorter, or like underneath the lid. I have poured my concentrate up to the line, and this is what we have left. This will make at least 7 of these, and you want to dilute them. You definitely do not want to use this full strength. So now I'm going to fill this up with my water and grab my creamer and my ice. All right, so I went a little bit too hard on my water and creamer, but that's fine. Got my ice. This ice tray I got off of Amazon. It's really awesome. It's got like a silicone top, and then you put the actual like ice underneath. It did come with a scooper, but I'm pretty sure I got rid of that, but you put that in. But you can take this top and like just kind of put it over top, and then you just push the cubes in. I love this thing. And then that way you can have ice and then also ice making at the same time. So like if you run out underneath, or you can have like 2 batches going. It's really awesome. Okay, so I actually poked out all my cubes and I filled it up with my Berkey water, and I'm going to put this back in the freezer. But now this bottom part is completely filled with ice, and I love this thing. These are kind of like the square cubes that you get at Starbucks, which is why I like it. But yeah, so that's it. And if you wanted to add cinnamon or anything, I would suggest you do it before the ice. You can add flavorings, you can add whatever you want. And this was only maybe 1/4 cup of the creamer that I use, which is the Oatly, because I'm lactose intolerant. But yeah, that's it. This is going to taste just like, or better than, the cold brew that you get from Starbucks, which I think a venti size right now is $5, almost $6. I think it's $5.86, I think, the last time I checked with tax and everything. But yeah, there you go. Enjoy, guys. Go save yourself some money. It's definitely worth it in the long run. I promise you. This, unit I've had for 3 years now. I'm probably going to use it for a long time. This ice maker I've had for 3 years now. This stuff is worth investing in. It's not even that expensive in the long run. I'll see if I can do a cost breakdown of this for you, how much it is per cup. I won't include the creamer though, just because that's up to you guys. But yeah, have a good one, guys. Bye. I forgot to mention, you definitely store this in the fridge. So that's it. Bye.